What do you get when you mix neon-colored animation, gravity-defying hair, swords bigger than your apartment, and a sprinkle of existential dread? Yep, anime. Or video games, or both. If you've ever watched Attack on Titan while your Final Fantasy update sat frozen at 2%, anime beat video games to the punch by a few decades, but both went global in the 80s and 90s, bringing us giant robots, spiky-haired heroes, and princesses who can't stop getting kidnapped by the same turtle lizard thing. Together, they've shaped pop culture more than Goku shaped his biceps. Why does this duo work so well? Because they both run on the same fuel, imagination. Whether it's Link rescuing Zelda or Genshin Impact cosplayers storming conventions, anime and games don't just stay on screen. They bleed into fashion, music, memes, and your weekend plans. Now let's break down the 4 big ways. Anime and video games are teaming up to take over culture. Stats, stories, and maybe a few bad puns included. The ultimate Venn diagram of nerdom. Picture a Venn diagram. One circle is labeled anime fans, the other says gamers. The overlapping part in the middle? That's basically the entire population at an anime convention. Conventions like Anime Expo and Comic-Con have become melting pots where both mediums shine. You'll see cosplayers rocking Naruto headbands next to fans lugging Master Sword replicas taller than themselves, and it's not just anecdotal. Crunchyroll surveyed over 10,500 anime viewers, and 90% of them proudly identified as gamers. Half admitted to gaming 20-plus hours a week, which is basically a part-time job, though sadly without the health benefits. Studies also show anime fans are 1.5 times more likely to be weekly gamers than non-anime viewers, and they tend to play a wider variety of genres. Since an estimated 36% of global consumers watch anime, that crossover audience isn't just big, it's Gurren Lagann mecha-sized big. For industries, that means every anime fan might also be a potential gamer, and vice versa. For fans, it means your backlog of shows and games will never ever shrink. Marketing and promotion. If there's one thing marketers love, it's finding a passionate audience. If there's one thing anime and gaming fans love, it's talking about their favorite characters until their friends beg them to stop. Put those together and you've got marketing gold. And take Genshin Impact. This game didn't just borrow anime aesthetics, it fully embraced them. Beautifully designed characters, check dramatic story arcs, check elemental magic battles that make you wish you could control the weather during your morning commute. Triple check. But it wasn't just the game that exploded. The marketing strategy was genius. By recruiting Twitch streamers to showcase the game, MiHoYo tapped into the shared anime gaming audience perfectly. Fans didn't just play the game. They watched it, discussed it, and memed it into immortality. The results? At its peak in 2022, Genshin Impact streams drew over 600,000 live viewers, and the game pulled in nearly $400 million in its first 2 months. That's not just a win, that's the kind of loot drop marketers dream about. It's proof that when you merge anime aesthetics with gaming and then turbocharge it through influencers, you don't just get engagement. You get fandoms that will passionately argue about tier lists for years to come. Fashion and culture. Anime and video games aren't just about what we watch or play. They've invaded our closets too. And no, I don't just mean the Naruto hoodie you wore 3 days straight in college. Cosplay is the most obvious example. Once a niche hobby, it's now a global industry expected to hit $80 billion by 2028. Whether it's crafting armor from Monster Hunter or sewing together magical girl outfits, cosplayers blur the line between spectator and participant. Bonus, you get to dramatically pose in parking lots, which is basically a rite of passage. Then there's Harajuku fashion, which started in Tokyo but quickly spread worldwide. Inspired by anime, manga, and gaming, it's colorful, bold, and sometimes wonderfully bizarre. It's not uncommon to see anime prints, gaming logos, and cosplay-style accessories making their way into everyday streetwear. Even luxury brands borrow the aesthetic now. Anime helped expand gaming beyond its macho shoot-'em-up roots. Titles like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest leaned into storytelling, character development, and emotional depth, drawing in audiences who might not have cared about high scores but were invested in epic sagas. These franchises are still thriving decades later, proving that anime-inspired games weren't just a fad, they rewired gaming culture itself. From consoles to Hollywood? For decades, Hollywood adaptations of anime and video games had a, let's call it a rocky reputation. Super Mario Bros., 1993, anyone? That film was such a disaster that Nintendo avoided licensing its properties for movies for nearly 30 years. Anime didn't fare much better. Netflix's 2017 Death Note adaptation received widespread backlash from fans, with critics citing poor storytelling and cultural misrepresentation. For years, it seemed like no one could bridge the gap between animated/fantasy worlds and live action without losing what made them special. But recently, the tides have turned. Improvements in CGI, more faithful writing, and global streaming platforms hungry for content have made space for authentic adaptations that finally resonate with audiences. In 2023 alone, Netflix's One Piece live-action series smashed records, pulling 18.5 million views in its first week. Meanwhile, the Super Mario Bros. Movie became both a box office giant and a critical success. The film grossed over $1.3 billion globally, making it the second highest-grossing animated movie of all time, just behind Frozen 2. Finally, Mario and Luigi got the respect they deserve, though Bowser's power ballad Peaches went so viral it became a TikTok trend with over 2 million videos. These successes prove that audiences are not only open to anime and gaming adaptations, they're actively hungry for them. It's no coincidence that studios like Netflix, Paramount, and Sony now have multiple projects in development, from Yu Yu Hakusho to The Legend of Zelda. Video games have had their victories too. HBO's The Last of Us became a cultural phenomenon, averaging 32 million viewers per episode. The finale alone reached 8.2 million viewers on its release night, making it HBO's most-watched show since House of the Dragon. The series also boosted sales of the original Last of Us game, which climbed back into PlayStation's top downloads a full decade after its release. Critics hailed it as one of the best video game adaptations ever, proving that when you stay faithful to the source material, gaming stories can rival and sometimes surpass the best prestige dramas. This trend has opened the door for other big-name adaptations like God of War, Amazon Prime, and Fallout Prime Video 2024. Anime itself keeps inspiring reboots, live-action remakes, and crossovers. Sure, some will flop, Cowboy Bebop 2021 anyone, but the growing number of successes shows how mainstream these once nerdy mediums have become. In Japan, anime box office revenue hit a record $1.9 billion in 2022, fueled by global hits like Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, which grossed over $500 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing anime film ever. This level of success is no longer a niche phenomenon. It's shaping how global entertainment functions. If you told someone in 1995 that cosplaying Sailor Moon would one day be cooler than knowing who won the Super Bowl, they probably would have laughed, but considering Sailor Moon cosplay hashtags have over 1 billion views on TikTok alone, here we are. The future is bright and a little over the top. Anime and video games are no longer niche subcultures. They are pop culture. They influence everything from fashion to marketing to Hollywood blockbusters. Their audiences overlap so heavily that separating them feels almost impossible. Together, they've built a cultural juggernaut that shows no signs of slowing down. For creators and marketers, the lesson is clear. If you're not tapping into this synergy, you're leaving both money and fans on the table. For fans, the future promises even more immersive crossovers, from anime-style games to games that spawn anime series. Honestly, we're living in a golden age where your favorite manga could become a Netflix hit, and your favorite game could sell out cosplay contests. And yes, your backlog will only keep growing. Sorry about that. But at least you'll look good in your Harajuku-inspired outfit while crying over the latest anime cliffhanger. So buckle up, because anime and video games aren't just shaping culture, they are culture. And if the trend continues, the next generation won't be asking, are you a gamer or an anime fan? Instead, they'll be asking the far more important question. Which isekai protagonist with spiky hair is your main in Smash Bros? And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this dive into the world where controllers meet cosplay and pixels meet protagonists, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe for more content. Got a favorite anime-inspired game? Or a game-inspired anime you think deserves more love? Drop it in the comments below and let's geek out together. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay awesome, keep gaming, and may your anime binge never end on a cliffhanger.